Historical Greenwich Village was once known for its beat poets, artists, and overall eclectic vibe. Through the years, the village has lost that mystique it once had. Corporations are settling into this once bohemian area and pushing out small businesses. Vital services are being shut down and leaving residents in the dark. What provided the initial attractive character of the community has led to its commercialization, taking a toll on the people of Greenwich Village.
Everything changes somehow or other. I think, we don't consider, that's why they fight, the people in this West Village fight so much about the height of buildings. Of course, it does take away, it really does take away from that community, that nice place to go to. And I really loved it. Let me tell you, I loved it being here. I enjoyed it. I had my good moments, lousy moments. But it is a great job. The opportunity came to be a doorman, I took it. I had no qualms. I always feel I'll do anything. It's honest work. I don't care what the hell it is that I do. I'll do it. It's honest, and I'm never ashamed. I just work. I was born in 1933, June, Brooklyn, Bath Beach section of Brooklyn. And I have a brother. My father left us after I was 6 months old. And we grew up with my grandmother's and grandfather's house, and my mother worked. I had a great mother, grandmother who was fantastic. She was my step-grandmother, which I didn't know for many years. She raised my grandfather's 6 children, his second wife. And then she raised us. She did a great job, good woman. I went to junior high school as far. I graduated junior high school and I quit. I was 19 when I went in the Army. I tried joining when I was 16. They kept finding out I was 16. And I finally rushed my draft up when I was 19. I went in and I went to Korea. And I spent a little time in combat, and the war ended. Came back. I wanted to stay in the service, but I was in not a great outfit when I came back, so I got out. I figured I'll take my chances on the outside world. I became a hairdresser. Thank God I had a talent for it. If I didn't, I don't know how I would have really survived without the education. And I really was bad. It took me years to learn how to spell. I was a hairdresser 13 years. My brother and I were in business, for 14 on 65th Street and the East Side. And we did a lot of movie stars and things like that, and studio work. And I made a good living, and I went to work nice and clean in a suit, and then I decided at 53 I didn't want to be a hairdresser anymore. And I lucked out. I knew somebody got me a job as a doorman.
My name is Michael March. I live in the Bronx, New York. Working here 15 years. I worked with Joe for roughly about 3 to 4 years. He was my partner. We both worked 3 to 11. I love it here. I love the people, the vibe, the atmosphere. I know everybody, the families, the children. I've grown with them, become part of the family.
This building just happened to be so great because even when I came here, I had to get used to people on the first name basis. And over here, when I came here, it was really a first name basis. It was really, really great. But it was harder to learn who they were because of the problems. If you got a mail or something dropped off for them, you knew them by their first name. So it's great. This building especially. I hated to retire from this. It's kind of great to live in a building and you end up living in the building that you worked in. Well, I was lucky. I met a good woman. She's really great.
I met Joe because Joe became a doorman here in the building in 1988. You really want to know the details of this? You really want to know the details? The details of this are he was standing at the door to the left with whomever was here before, and that other doorman was saying, and this is, John Smith and Jane Doe and and this is Susan Sloat, 9U, and hello. And I go up to my apartment, and my next door neighbor rang my bell and said to me, "Have you seen the new doorman?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Isn't he gorgeous?" And I said, "Yes." And that was how I met Joe.
It went from, like, across the street used to be a restaurant, Joe Jr.'s, where everybody would come and gather from the neighborhood, and John V., which was a great pastry shop.
Joe Jr., their hamburgers were great. Their Friday, their coffee every once in a while was so great. You had to get their morning coffee, not their afternoon coffee, but their food was good. John V. was out of this world. I mean, that was a great loss. That was one of the best bakeries around. They had their peach pies were out of this world. I loved them.
They all closed down, and now it's like all like hair salons and nail salons. So the neighborhood changed dramatically.
And it was a different place. The people seemed different. It was a place you wanted to, hey, I wonder what it's like there. But everyone in the neighborhood knew you. Maybe that's the difference too here. Everyone knew everyone. And now the fluctuation of more people, it's different. It changed. Your neighbors know your neighbors. Like you say, with the small stores for mother and father, mom and pop stores, people knew you. So if you're walking down the street and if they know who you are and they know if someone's bothering you or something. Today you don't have that today.
It was just so different. McDougal Street was filled with coffee houses. 8th Street was movie theaters, clubs. You had the Bonsoir, the Village Barn, and look at Bleecker Street. Instead of all these little antique shops and there was a shop that just sold exotic imports from Africa and Eastern rugs and so forth. So now you've got Jimmy Choo, you've got Christian Louboutin, you got 2 Ralph Lauren stores. There's a Marc Jacobs men, Marc Jacobs women. I think there's a Marc Jacobs children. Maybe it's all due to Sex in the City. But when she went to the Magnolia Bakery, all of a sudden, tour buses are going through the streets of the village and all these people are lined up at the Magnolia Bakery. Now there's a Magnolia Bakery in Bloomingdale's.
The one change I didn't like was, I remember years ago, you could ride down Fifth Avenue and you could look into the Washington Park from way back, from way uptown, and you could see the arch and you could see through it.
They could have built a building, and I'm not an architect, but I'm sure they could have stepped it and stood back and said, hey, this is a classic view of New York City. Don't screw it up. And move the building so that at least it kept that view.
Well, like I say, now it's a campus, really. It belongs to the campus, in a sense, Years ago, it was just groups of people from all over. Susan would come from Brooklyn and hang out there with a boyfriend of hers who came from the Bronx, I think.
When I was about 17, living in Brooklyn, and I had a boyfriend from camp who lived in the Bronx, and we would meet in Washington Square Park because he couldn't drive. So we would meet under the second lamppost on the right side. And Washington Square Park was actually safe enough to meet at night. And then we'd go to McDougal Street and feel very in, and go to the Playhouse Cafe and drink cappuccino, which made us very worldly.
Then comes along NYU, and they build that ugly building behind it, and you can't see through it anymore. I think NYU. The neighborhood's become a college town. It really is. It's a college town. And years ago was more, a bohemian and artist type, which you still have a lot of actors and actresses in the area, but it lost that mystique that it really had, that people would come down to see.
I just hope NYU doesn't buy any more buildings.
My name is Ricardo. I am basically a dog walker in the building. I walk dogs in the neighborhood in 2 or 3 buildings, only in the West Village. I used to work before in other neighborhoods, but I like the village. I came before to the States only for vacation, and I decided to come here for living, for my education. I continue my education. To be honest, comparing the rent from other neighborhoods like Columbus or even Soho is more affordable.
With the way NYU is building a new school, God, I hope they would stop them. I would hope they'd just leave it. Other places do it. They leave things the way they were. Why not? And they never. I don't think they have learned from the tragedy of Penn Station, tearing down Penn Station, and just think they were going to tear down Grand Central. And if it wasn't for Jacqueline Kennedy, that thing would have been gone too. It's amazing that the things that they've done, and it's going to happen here too. You see it.
New York has this wonderful way of demolishing buildings, like Penn Station. They were going to knock down Carnegie Hall. They're out of their minds. I don't know, it's a mindset. It's not Paris. Paris doesn't knock down buildings. First of all, I liked having an emergency room across the street. It was nice. The time that I fell and cut my chin open, it was, I tripped on the sidewalk, but it was nice having it right there.
That's a disaster. That really is. You try to figure out how it happened, and for whatever reason, they take it away. That's the only hospital in this area.
The shutting down of St. Vincent's has left the people of Greenwich Village vulnerable. The closest hospitals and emergency rooms are all located on the east side of Manhattan. The distance could determine life or death for many patients.
The only hospital that you have in the neighborhood is closed, and now you have to go to the Columbus, the Roosevelt Hospital there.
God forbid you have a heart attack, you're not going to make it.
From what I understood, they closed because they went bankrupt. They lost like $700 million, and they're putting luxury condos there now.
Whatever they're going to do on 7th Avenue, a 32-story building.
The building of it, the congestion takes away the vibe of the whole village. So I see a lot of changes in the next 5 years.
I love this area. It's great. I mean, I was never a person who wanted to live in New York. My brother moved to New York when he was 19, and he never left it. And he loves it. And you know, I thought he was kind of crazy paying $85 a month for a studio, and I owned a house for $85 a month at that time, you know. But after I came to work here, I realized, you know, you just grow into it. It is a great neighborhood.
There are good things about the development, like the Hudson River Park, which is not really, if you're going to talk about just this neighborhood, the central part of it, this used to be the village. Now it's more commercial, obviously, and the West Village is the place to be. But that whole area where the West Side Highway had been, you wouldn't walk there in the middle of late in the afternoon. I mean, there's no way you would walk around the meatpacking district in a million years. It truly was not safe.
It's quiet. Also, you have good restaurants, groceries, you have markets. The transportation is very good. You have different subways that you can take. So I think it's perfect for working. Yeah, but I would never live in the village.
The small business are being pushed out because of the areas getting better and better. You got quite a few good little restaurants along there now.
It's just the best neighborhood in the whole city. You don't want to live anyplace else, really and truly.
Especially this building. The kids that have grown up in this building, I've seen 2 generations grow up in this one, and fantastic. You know, I don't know if it's the building, the area, the parents, but you got a lot of good people in this. The kids in this area are really great, you know, especially in this building.
Prefer the village 20 years ago or now? Do you see a big difference to you, or do you not?
No, you know what? It's changed, but so am I. You know, I'm 40 years older.
What has happened in the village has been mirrored elsewhere in New York, as once gritty Brooklyn neighborhoods like Dumbo and Williamsburg have grown wealthy and unaffordable for many locals. Commercialization has the ability to rob a neighborhood of its character. Though hurt by some of the development, residents of Greenwich Village are still proud of the area and the unique history it contains.
Village is the greatest place in the world to live. It is. If everybody could come and live here, this is the place. It is. I just hope it never changes. You have to leave it for somebody. Like always said, you leave it for the next generation. We're not doing that. We really aren't. It's all for today. And one day they'll wake up, like, you know, it's not there. You know. So thank God I won't be here anyway. Christ.